Bilderberg.
Wait. I want to say something, okay? So we've been thinking for a while to maybe make, perhaps, this is just like on the top of our heads,
Yes.
maybe make like a conspiracy episode or like a
A stream,
special or
yeah.
something related to stuff.
I think
So,
we have to plan. We're gonna plan that, but we're gonna do probably like a conspiracy stream. We just have to
so the,
plan
yeah,
for
there
that.
are like different options. For example, we can talk about all these like weirdos. I don't want to take over like the news of everything,
Oh
but we need to
God,
like make this
no.
lighthearted. So we have a lot of guys like in aprons over here. I don't know
Wait,
if
no,
they're gonna
no,
come
no,
after us or if they're gonna make
no,
us
no.
a meal
This has nothing to do.
or like the
No, we are not talking about. We're not talking
no, we're
about
not going there.
Freemasons. We're not.
No, we're not talking about them. We're not talking about the Illuminati or
Adam
I don't know.
Weishaupt. Well, there's a lot to
We
be said about this, but nowadays the Illuminati is used kind of a coverall or an umbrella term just to refer to any of the like the top powerful elite. Why are we at the Blair Witch Project?
because we're talking about like conspiracies and like paranormal. Like maybe it's not just secret societies, but like
Everybody's
or
like,
them
"What
like
the hell did I
controlling the
just tune
world.
into?" We were just talking about.
Exactly. Or let's tune it up a bit. Like let's turn it up a bit. So for example, we could even
The thing is, I want to point out like that we would cover actual legitimate type conspiracies
yeah,
and things like this because what people don't understand is that like
or even like top secret projects
yeah, black
like the big
ops
like
and
aircraft
things.
and everything. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the trouble is that the term conspiracy theorist has been thrown around a lot today, and people just think it's like a tinfoil hat wearing
Yeah.
person. But the reality is, like, first of all, a little bit of a history lesson is that the CIA developed the term conspiracy theorist, which was to defame and to denounce anybody who was questioning the JFK assassination, which, by the way, not everything has been released in relation to that. In fact, apparently RFK Jr. has seen the full intelligence, but he's not even releasing the information. So I don't know what's up about that, but that's the term. And if you don't believe that conspiracies occur, they do. They occur on they're rampant everywhere. It literally just means it could be a group or even one individual who is colluding to do something without the knowledge of without public knowledge. So
it might not even have to do with like specific beliefs or like extremists. It might even just be people asking like the right questions. For example, even like after 9/11, when like I'm not saying like the planes didn't hit them. I don't know. Like I didn't see like stuff. They found passports underneath. But
I saw a funny video about that. Did you see
is that the buildings like collapse vertically?
Did you see this funny? I think it was an AI video or something about Passport Man or something. Did you not see that?
No.
I came across that. I was even thinking like, you know what, we should probably showcase that. But no, there's look up on YouTube, Passport Man. It's pretty funny. But anyway, yeah, it's all about that. We don't have to show it. We don't have to show. But I'm just saying, like, it's pretty funny. But let's get into the Bilderberg now.
So
the Bilderberg was founded in 1954 at the Hotel de Bilderberg in Oosterbeek, Netherlands.
Bilderberg.
That's the name. And its purpose was an annual private conference around 120 to 150 political leaders, business elites, academics, and media figures from across
all over the world,
Anglosphere and North America. Well, predominantly in the beginning, North America and Europe, and then or the Western world, right? And then later it started involving more people. It's non-official and off-the-record closed door with no press or public access, and participants attend as individuals, not representatives of their organizations.
Fancy. They must get good catering there, that's for sure, like good food.
Actually, that has been covered by some investigative reporters. Now, little beknownst to myself, because I didn't even realize, but it was Edge who brought this to my attention. The 71st Bilderberg meeting took 71 meetings so far. 71st Bilderberg meeting took place from June to 12th to the 15th of this year at the Grand Hotel in Stockholm, Sweden, hosted by the Wallenberg family in the heart of the city under tight security around that time.
These guys sound so posh, like, you know.
And it's one thing to point out here is that it was not a courtesy or known that they would release the attendee list. It has become so now in I think the last decade,
Yeah,
because
I
there was
think
so much media
so many
attention,
leaks and stuff.
and because these lists were being leaked by people who were, as you were mentioning, the caterers and stuff, because they were
It's
making some good money.
it's like plane spotters or train spotters who like jot down what time
Yeah.
like people pass, like waiting for the cars to go in, or at the airport to spot
Right.
them and put the pieces
But even
together.
employees there, they were secretly like smuggling this stuff out and saying, this was the menu, this is what they ate, this is what, you know. So we have a lot of people here from different corporations, different countries. Oh, look, wait, stop, go up. Oh, what's that one? Up. Ooh, we have Alex Karp, CEO of Palantir Technology.
Oh, you know what that is? It's the AI company, which are
Yeah.
involved in a lot of like scandals. And we have a
Yes.
video coming out.
Whitney Webb's very favorite.
We're currently making a video on this,
Yes.
so
That's why
keep
it's
an eye
taking
on
some
our
time,
channel.
because we want to make a really good expose on this.
Yeah.
But yes, as you see, there's a lot of CEOs from the Volvo Group. There's car, obviously Ryanair is there, and to the regular observer, this may seem, this may seem just like, kind of similar to the World Economic Forum or something. It's like a bunch of business counterparts and elites and politicians too are just coming together to talk about different things and such like this. However, I guess the reason why this has been a prevailing issue amongst a lot of people who are much more suspicious is because of its closed door policy and how it's never been official. It's never been on the record. Reporters and journalists have never been allowed inside. And nobody ever knows really what these people are talking about. And these people are pretty powerful, right?
Who are these guys? Like, why are they getting together?
Right. So the question is what they want and why they're here. Not the question, I should say, more of a statement. But you have certain individuals, right? For instance.
So to be honest, like, okay, it's a huge list, and each of like different people have like different interests. So obviously, when they get to this meeting, they're not going to mingle with everyone. They don't have time for this. So they're probably going to get together in like groups of like 3 or 5 and like have a specific interest.
I would also imagine that they have panels or stuff like that, like kind of like where there's specific topics being discussed, and then there's certain people who are vested in that, they go, and then
in those specific like industrial sectors or government interests.
And this is purely speculative because I'm only basing it on like other things like the World Economic Forum, when you have the G8 and you have the other things and all these other summits, and that's usually how they function too. You have these panels and these things. So talks, seminars, etc.
So shall we talk about like what different groups of
let's go ahead. I think it's interesting.
So on the one hand, like we have tech billionaires and AI experts. We have Peter Thiel that we mentioned from Palantir. Schmidt and Hassabis, they aim to like shape global AI policies. Now, there's a big issue at this because they want to balance innovation with defense. Use. Now, what we mean of like defense is that AI can be up and coming into warfare as well.
I mean, it already
drone
is.
Tech, national security.
It already is being implemented now, and we again. Stay tuned because this is actually kind of covered somewhat in our video of the implications of AI. And the other thing is that we kind of already saw this predicted in a lot of like fictional cinema and stories, right? Like, about why the fears of, like Terminator,
robots,
like the fears of AI, right? Going, getting out of hand. And I think
films like RoboCop as well.
Yeah, I think one thing goes without saying here is that at least since the 20th century, technology in any capacity has always been definitively connected to the military. And I say this because even the internet, even mobile phones, all of this stuff started from there. So, it gets to the consumer market later down the line, but it began there. And it is worrying because we're seeing this push, and it's something that Dr. Stephen Greer, who obviously is that big proponent of
The Disclosure Project.
in relation to the UAPs, aka UFOs, and
Yeah. Changing the name.
and also free energy, right? He's a proponent of this,
Yeah.
but it's something that he highlights continuously of that. This is the problem of why we can't have good things because the reality is, at the end of the day, this stuff is always being strangled, or not strangled. It's a stranglehold held by these military corporations, and why part of the reason people are against the military industrial complex is because they kind of control all of this, and they just want to have more power, they want to have more capabilities, and it's always to weaponize, and this effectively is to fuel potential future conflicts, because obviously, as we brought up, just in the case of like what we see kind of like with this current escalation in Israel and Iran, is that war equals profit, conflict equals profit. And this is unfortunate because, again, it's bullets over lives, and it's simplified, right?
So, and what's also very interesting is that we at the Bilderberg, we had two defense chiefs who are like commanders of like the US.
Yeah, this is shocking. Yeah.
So we have like Donahue, who is of I think it's the US Army in Europe and Africa.
Right.
And then we have Paparo, who is of like Indo-Pacific regions. And they're also very interested in coordinating AI-powered like military assets and Eurasian threat like responses. So other groups we have like in the Bilderberg are...
You have the president of the European Investment Bank, the executive chair of Santander. You have the president of the Euro Group, Ireland's finance minister, CEO of Ryanair. We mentioned that. CEO of Pfizer. That's a big company, also with a lot of
worrying. Whenever I see that popping up.
Yeah, because especially now, because there's now just to highlight that there have been there's been a raise of an alarm recently of a new pandemic emerging, etc., and we all know where that's going.
Hopefully not.
Well, well, we did report. I think we reported on a previous ENDstream, right, that there was a surge, a new surge in Asia currently, which was affecting India and China.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
We also have political figures at Bilderberg. So we have Rutte, we have
Mark Rutte, we mentioned him as well. Yeah.
We have Mitsotakis, the Greek prime minister. Like, you get prime ministers at these events, like leaders of countries. Are you serious? And also sometimes you get royalty as well.
Yes.
But here we have also Stoltenberg, who is I think Norway's finance minister or something. And well, they all have like interest in NATO and reinforce NATO and have like alliances with other countries. Like, they want to strengthen transatlantic alliances, so likely with the States.
He was the he's the current Minister of Finance of Norway. You're correct, and former Secretary General of NATO. So
yeah, so these people want like NATO to have like for the countries within NATO to have like better relations. I mean, for security and for like profit interests.
I mean,
under the table deals.
At this point, the concept of NATO is kind of redundant, I would say.
Yeah.
The people forget that NATO was developed because of the threat or potential threat, I should say, at the time of the USSR, and also because
after World War II, right?
Yeah, and people forget that at that point, USSR had a very massive influence and had a lot of like satellite nations across the world, and there was the Warsaw Pact, and that's a total different kettle of fish, because that was when it was really like on it
was on another level, like technology booming, and
a lot of critics of NATO complain that that's ironically what NATO has become now. NATO has become kind of like a surrogate to what was.
So it's kind of the threat how they saw the USSR.
Yeah, now NATO has become somewhat of that,
And
because
also, like, Israel is kind of becoming like what they
I
claim of
think I know
being
where
like
you're going.
always under threat. So they're the threat. I don't want to spell it out,
I
but
think
I
I know
think
where you're
everybody
going.
knows what we're talking about.
Oh, we're gonna get so much hate.
It's like gonna get bullies. Bullies.
Whatever, whatever.
The
I
person
just
bullied
know
becomes the bully.
we're gonna get detractors from every side here, but it's fine. It doesn't matter.
We're not calling
Um,
people out, but like to be honest, like almost like on every side there's a bully and someone else.
I mean,
And
the reality is like there is no. I forget who mentioned this, but someone once said that there's no good side or good guy or bad guy ever in
yeah,
any situation. It's just how it's perceived and how it's painted. So one guy is going to look like the bad guy, and a perfect example of this is like I hate to bring it up, but it's World War II. You
yeah,
had a
sure,
bad guy in Germany, which I won't have to mention his name.
yeah.
Everybody knows who that
But
is.
he was from Austria. Yeah,
But anyway, he was the bad guy in Germany, and he obviously was promoting, really a lot of nasty things, like
yeah,
xenophobia,
yeah,
racism, etc., and doing a lot of nasty things, right? But at the same time, what people don't remember or people forget is that the heroes of World War II, in terms of the leaders, were three specific characters, and I can mention
yeah.
their names: obviously Stalin, Churchill, and Roosevelt. But these three people themselves were bad guys. They were really bad guys as well, what they did. And that should
And
not be ignored. It should
and
not be
their own
ignored,
people suffered as well a lot, like under them. Like
as
I
well as
thought,
other
like
people
like
abroad.
like th-
You know,
thanks to them, we've avoided other things, but under their rule, people
yes,
experience
yeah.
other stuff.
But my only point is that it's always like it's like that argument, like when people say for you to vote between the two big parties, you should vote for the lesser of two evils. Well, ironically, that's always what's happening here because you're still voting for evil.
Yeah,
In my view, I don't think you should vote for evil anyway. I don't think there's a question of like voting for the lesser of two evils. Evil is evil. That's it. But
hmm,
the point being here is that there's no good guy, no bad guy. It's always the way you perceive it and how it, and like I said, and how it's like characterized, right?
yes.
And so in this situation, yeah, I don't even know why I brought up that. Why what I was referring to again? It's
Must have been
referencing this.
getting at somewhere. So
Yeah,
I just want to say one last thing, like before we wrap up Bilderberg, is that like we said, we have a video coming up about Palantir, the
yeah,
AI company.
yeah.
So I just want to play a clip regarding that,
Hmm. This
which
is
I found
Peter
was
Thiel.
kind of interesting. No, it's
No.
not.
Oh,
It's
okay.
another guy.
All right.
But let's have a look.
I want to play for you one of the most chilling clips I've ever heard. And just hold on and trust me, because it's not that chilling until you realize what it means.
The basic
All right.
idea
That's
This
Peter
is
Thiel. Yeah,
Peter
that's
Thiel.
Peter Thiel. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I got confused there for a second.
was that we could never win an election on getting certain things because we were in such a small minority. But maybe you could actually unilaterally change the world without having to constantly convince people and beg people and plead with people who are never going to agree with you through a technological means. And this is where I think technology is this incredible alternative to politics.
That's tech billionaire and Republican megadonor Peter Thiel speaking at a Libertopia, a libertarian conference in 2010. He's basically saying that his political ideology is so unappealing that it'll never win elections. And that's one thing he's right about, because he's railed against women having the right to vote, complained so much about diversity, and
Sounds like
This is
a sexist.
these are often, yeah, these are stupid misconceptions. It's a trope, like where it's like, oh,
Yeah.
women vote with their feelings and they don't vote with
Yeah.
but that's not true, because at the end of the day, a lot of women who are mothers or
Yeah.
have careers and stuff, they're also voting for their interests. You know, they are thinking about the bottom line too, like, you know, how much money I'm going to have at the end of the day, or
Yeah.
things like this that matter, right? Or how I'm going to provide stuff. So it's such a myopic way of looking at things.
Basically, this clip was saying that this guy was saying that Peter Thiel is like very like small-minded, but he still wants his way, even though he knows he doesn't have the support. Like,
I mean, he's basically saying he's basically promoting the wet dream of every politician, which is basically saying, well, we can use technology to manipulate people to just vote in your favor. This is insanity. And to be honest, this is exactly what already is happening to some degree with all like these like campaign videos and stuff like this. You know what I mean?
If you think not just about AI, but like if you take Google into account, like the amount of data they have about what people look for, and they can basically like control the narrative. Like if people are looking for something, they can shape the world.
This is exactly what happened with social media over Facebook and Twitter back when it was called Twitter, which was exposed actually by Elon Musk, believe it or not, with the Twitter files, right? This is exactly what was going on because they're controlling the narrative. And these are the dangers of technology. And the problem is that people get too suckered into it without even realizing. Because we also brought this up not too long ago too, about how people are within their own little echo chambers, you know? They'll believe anything, you know? They'll buy into anything. Like that's the trouble. It's very despairing to some degree, but you know, I don't know.
Right. So yeah, that was Peter Thiel and Bilderberg.
There's the problem I think with all of this is that what we're not seeing at the Bilderberg is any representation from places like China, Russia, Iran, or North Korea. Well, obviously North Korea, but you know, there's definitely strategic, balancing against these nations. And for all the criticism you may have against those regimes, it doesn't look good either, because it's like, there is definitely concerted effort here, like to target, especially two great powers. One who has already, and another one that has already the potential for nuclear capabilities. I'm referring to Korea, and now another one which is in the crosshairs, right?
That's for sure.
And I, it's like that old adage you just brought up, like, okay, we might get into. There's an old adage which is like, divide and conquer, right? Order through chaos. It kind of feels more and more that this is the case. This is the case being pushed. Like, we are all the pawns, and we just play our role, and we're the first to be sacrificed. And meanwhile, the nobles, aka queen, horsemen, everything, they're the ones who get to decide, and they're the ones protected.
We're not playing. What's that game, like Subbuteo, like old like tabletop games with soldiers and stuff,
like Risk? You mean Risk?
I'm just saying that the people calling the shots aren't the ones in the crosshairs. It's the normal people again. Like, once again, I'm saying it, that normal people get caught up like in wars and die for what? For nothing.
I don't think a lot of people can really digest what this really means. Sometimes I've talked to people who've been I mean, I know you did military service, and I did. I know people who have actually been in like war scenario,
conflict. I've actually met people,
both actively and also as a victim,
Iraq, like Marines and stuff.
And this isn't something to like turn a blind eye lightly at. Like, this is stuff that is very highly traumatizing. We know for a fact, even like when everyone goes on about the vets. I don't mean animal doctors, I mean obviously veterans from the military, and they're scarred. If they're scarred, you have no idea, or even how civilians.
Oh, that brings me to,
what I'm saying?
To something I just thought of. Give me one sec. I'm just going to
carry on my thought here. So this is this is what I think is like, we're really disconnected and disassociated with this in some ways to a point, and it's no surprise, because we're just constantly bombarded, with or desensitized from the harsh reality of like how bad this is until it actually happens to you. And I just don't, I still can't believe that we're in the 21st century and this still becomes an issue today, you know, like amongst other issues, but we still are having this where we have to shed blood over such petty, such ridiculous things, you know. And at the end of the day, it's like you said, it's always because of the interests of those on top who are dictating, you know.
I just want to point this out. It's from April, but it's still very relevant to what we're saying. I'll just show it for like a tiny bit, and then we can like move on to the next topic.
And Jared over there.
And Jared.
So you guys got hit, huh? Pretty good. You got hit. Pretty good. Amazing.
Their unit had more than
amazing.
50% purple heart rate.
I mean, look at their legs. They're blown up.
You deserve it. You deserve that and more. We appreciate it so much.
Purple
Brave,
hearts. You
really
deserve
brave,
purple hearts and
brilliant
more.
people. Thank you very much.
It's like, how like disillusioned are you?
There's a common thing in the States. I think I don't know if I brought this up before, but there's a common thing in the States where it's like everybody always tells like someone who's in the military or a vet, like, oh, thank you for your service. And I used to be of that mind too, until the point where I'm like of the view where, and it's no disrespect to anybody who's serving in the military or whatever, but the reality is this: I never asked any of those people to serve. I never asked those people to fight in my name. I've never asked anything of that matter. I feel very bad if anything has happened to them or if they lost their lives or their loved ones lost their lives. But at the end of the day, I never asked. You never did that in my name. And you know, there's this presumption that they do these things to safeguard our liberties and our freedoms.
Well, country,
newsflash. The people who should be safeguarding those things are the people who are in power, voted into power, and they're doing a terrible job about it. Not you. Because unless there's a direct threat, last I checked, you don't have to do anything other than defend, you know, the nation and secure the country, right? The state, the nation state.
For real.
But I don't see how that's an issue. Like, why are you going overseas and why are you doing this? So no, I'm sorry. I'm not going to thank anybody for their service because they haven't done, I never asked for that. They volunteered. They did it. Sorry, I hate to break it to you. That's different, of course, if you're drafted. There's a different case, right? If you're drafted, then it's still, I'm not going to thank anybody for that because, I mean, a lot of people do stuff which is highly, highly relevant and it's not acknowledged either. What about actual teachers? What about emergency workers? What about fire workers?
Every day they're putting their lives at risk.
What about social workers? Nobody says thank you for your service. What about people who are taking care of the elderly? Nobody says thank you for your service. Who's taking care of the elderly? Their job is hell.
Or people looking after like disabled people who can't move and like lifting them, or people like in surgeries and stuff, or not even there. Like you go to like some coffee shops or waitresses who pick up like glasses from tables. You don't even
thank you for your
knowledge. Thank you. Like something basic as that.
Yeah, but
let alone people who are like, I don't know.
I get like having a respect to some degree for the armed forces, but the armed forces should never have to be used. They should never have to be used until the last resort. Point. Yeah. Right. Last resort. And I feel that this has all become an element which only corroborates further how the American military industrial complex, I hate to use that term constantly, but how it's so ingrained now, where the military itself, it's like, thank you for your service. You're a part of it. Nobody asked for this. Nobody asked to get thrown into any war. Nobody, in fact, it's not known to most people, but World War I, World War II, people were drafted. They didn't want to go. A lot of people didn't want to go. They didn't want to fight.
In the movies, they make it
because they didn't see the point.
You know, kids wanted to go, fight for their country, that they didn't know better, but I'm pretty sure they didn't.
The American system has bolstered, I wouldn't say the American system, I would say more so the military industrial complex level, what Eisenhower warned us of, has been wholly in bed with, Hollywood and everything, that they promoted this image significantly of bolstering the idea that, no, the military is essential and without it, we are doomed and stuff. last time I checked, the U.S. wasn't invaded by nobody. I mean, like, they weren't even invaded back in World War I. They went over to help. And you can argue Pearl Harbor and also September 11th, right? But still, I'm talking about a full-on, proper, invasion. I'm not talking about those would I would say are attacks, right?
Or like Napoleon going to Russia or something and reaching Moscow, and it was like completely empty because their own people like destroyed their supply, so he wouldn't get anything, and then he had to go back because he didn't have anything.
So I mean, this is I don't know. This is the trouble, and the thing is, like, we don't really know what's going to come out of the Bilderberg, but it'll be interesting. But definitely, as you raised the concern, I think it's going to be a lot more in relation to defense plans coming up.
Yes.
AI in some capacity involved, war with military.
This is all going to echo. Like through policy corridors, like not maybe by the actual people, but it's gonna like snowball onto their ministers or workers or policies.
Policies that we're gonna see develop. And it's just so funny because I don't see nobody representative or no one bringing up legitimate, important social issues.
Important issues like
poverty,
housing, like
homelessness,
food,
mental health, elderly support. I mean, just to name a few. Just those are key ones that I bring up all the time.
Unemployment and stuff.
Youth, jobs, the job market, how to invigorate again. Nope. Just always the same thing.
Or like when like there's a couple or something and they just have a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And the woman is out of work.
You mean
like the debate whether women should work, like if they have a kid, and who's going to look after the kid afterwards? Like if they don't have parents or grandparents to look after the kids, like how's the mom gonna? It's a matter of like what you do with your kids.
Maternal leave, right? Maternal leave or paternal leave. There's also paternal leave as well in relation to that.
Yeah, exactly. Like if two parents are working, what do they do with a kid?
Yeah.
And if nobody can look after the kid, then one is out of work, which causes problems in like how to pay your bills and stuff. And this is something every single parent faces, and it's not being addressed.
Yeah, I would say
it's like, it's a big issue.
One
wage is supposed to go to like a kindergarten. Like one person is working for someone else. It doesn't make sense, That's why a lot of people, like half of them don't work.
I just want to stipulate. I want to stipulate though that there is a lot of good work going on in relation to AI in terms of how it can be assisting. It can assist people, but that's never highlighted, and it should be highlighted.
Tool. How
it should be highlighted, but there is a lot of research and development in relation to how it's helping people with neurological issues or conditions, as well as mental health, as well as trying to find ways of how it can provide support for the more vulnerable of society. But the problem is there's not enough funding, there's not enough focus or highlighting about this, and that's what's missing and that's what's lacking. And instead, obviously there's more money in applications of defense, armaments,
military, that's for sure.
Also,
by far.
Anyhow, we need to come down. So we reported we're moving on from the Bilderberg because there's not much else known because none of us are there. Maybe next year, or no, when is it? It's every year, is it? Or
it's every year.
Or maybe next year we'll report on the ground. Who knows?
The Bilderberg has been going on since the 50s, if you can imagine that.